Who's back in the house? I'm back with a clean bill of health. I went and seen the doctor this morning, 9 o'clock, and he said everything looks good, that I can come back to work and do a little bit of pointing and a little bit of telling people what to do. He said I couldn't do much work, but I told the doctor, right. Well, we've got Mr. Green's transmission in the house. Come in with a gear ratio code in it, slipping in third gear. So we do a report on all of our vehicles when we tear them apart. Before we take the tranny out or anything like that, we do a complete computer check on everything we do. So this thing come in with a PO 733 third gear incorrect ratio and a PO 782 2-3 shift error. So that tells me there we're going to be going towards the third gear clutch area for problems, or something like that, or it's got a lot of metal in the pan. So we didn't pull the pan. It had a drain, so we didn't have to do that. So let's get this thing apart and see what we got. Feels good to be back. Let me get my gloves on. My doctor told me I have to start wearing some gloves. So I got me some gloves here, guys, which I've had a lot of people tell me to put gloves on, but it's hard to do that when you've been not doing it for 40 years. And the gloves, to me, they just don't have really good gloves. So
it's hard to hold on to things.
Kind of hard to hold on. Now, when I build them back, it's really hard. So, well, we got our output speed sensor here and our input speed sensor here. You can see these here. They're not melted or anything like that. Don't look like they've been hot. Now, these are interchangeable. They'll go front, rear, back, either direction. Our neutral safety switch has already been removed. We have a temperature switch here that the gentleman had in for a gauge. As you can see, he had it screwed in here. We already took that loose. That way we don't break it when we flip the unit over. And then we have our big vent tube hose here that usually comes up here, crosses over, comes back down through here, and bleeds out the back. That way no water can get into it. So now we're going to get over here to our first big concern on this unit is going to be the cooler bypass system. Now this system right here has a check ball in it right here, and there's another one right in here that if the cooler gets any type of restriction, it'll bypass the cooler and never starve the tranny for fluid. So we replace every one of these that we do. You can check them and see if they do work with an air pressure gauge and stuff, air pressure gun, to see if they work, but I just don't do that. I replace every one of them. I know this check valve in here has probably been beat up a ton. I'm not sure how many miles this got on it. Do you remember, Trent? Let me look at his ticket really quick. 135,000 miles. Not a lot of miles. I really can't tell if it's been rebuilt before. It does look like it has some paint on it. So, but there is a check valve in here. You can buy this separately. It'll come with your fittings and everything already in it. So that's pretty much a must on these units here. So get this part here. Now some of these housings are steel and some of them are aluminum. So you got to be careful taking them off. You're going to think it's going to be real light and all of a sudden it'll smash your hand because it's metal. Now this one is steel. So just be ready to grab it when you take your last bolt out. And then you have your parking assembly here. You watch it lock in. So if you're rolling down the road and you actually put it in park and you hear that when it goes into park, that's physically what you're hearing when you're rolling forward. It just skips it. Click, 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 bang, drops in. So So the doctor told me not to do a bunch of pulling and pushing, so I'm trying not to do a lot of pulling and pushing. So, but it's kind of hard not to with this big old tranny. But I feel a lot better. It was kind of a rough recovery. It's only been 2 weeks and 2 or 3 days or something
Only been
like
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, a couple of days, yeah.
Probably back a little early, but now if you look at this converter here, it's a 6-lug diesel. It's got 6 lugs. It does have a drain plug, but if you notice here how it has these little woven marks on it, this right here is a sign of a multi-clutch torque converter. It's a factory multi-clutch torque converter, but it is a multi-clutch. But that's how you can tell. The non-multi-clutch will just be a smooth body. There won't be no ripples or anything in it. Got quite a bit of wear on the hub here. You can start to see it. Almost looks like the hub's on crooked.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of definitely jicky. So it's been rebuilt before. Aftermarket converter. The tranny's been painted. Now we don't know if it's got a shift kit in it or is it just a completely stock unit. But we'll find out real quick. Try to keep my kind of different using your stomach muscles when you got a bullet hole here, and a bullet hole here, and a bullet hole over here, where they went in and did all the work on me. So it's kind of hard to use the belly muscles. But they always say no gain, or no pain, no gain, right? No pain, no gain, something like that. But a little bit of pain. Okay.
Not excessive.
Oh, by the way, I want to thank, where did it go? I want to thank Harold, Harold, from Dallas. Harold, you know who you are? Hey, brother, I should have bought these a long time ago.
I know, isn't that funny?
Let me tell you, look at this. I want to thank you very much for sending that to me. Definitely, I got to go get me some.
I mean, they ain't that spotless.
I'm old school, guys. I kind of do the old hand thing, so, but I appreciate that. Now, and this thing does smell.
Oh, we got a little fried.
It does smell too, but there's nothing in the pan.
Hmm.
Now, he could have serviced this before he brought it to us too. We're not really for sure in that respect, so the pan's awful clean for it to be having that type of smell.
Yeah, you opened it up.
Yeah. Now this is kind of a unique little deal here. I've never seen this before. I'm trying to figure out where they got that at now. It kind of holds that filter on there from falling out, but that's a new one on me. I've never seen that. The pan will hold the filter in on these. You don't have to worry about that. Not like a filter's going to fall off on these. Like I say, I'm going to go through this kind of slow, but kind of fast because I need to get some parts ordered really quick for it. So I'm going to kind of look and see if I see any mistakes that they've kind of done building this back. Now we do have our check balls in here. Let's see if we have the right plate. Okay. Now if you notice here, we have a trough here. We have a trough here. There's no check ball in that trough. If you look here, we have a dual hole for this trough here. We have a single hole for that trough there. Do not put a check ball in that trough. Now they do make different variations if it's the E40D, 4100, depending on year, on these check ball locations. So some of them will have 2. So you got to be very careful on that. Let me get back here and get a screwdriver trim. I don't see it. Like I said, I like to come in here and check all my valves kind of when I take it apart. Always will leave my reverse engagement spring out too. That way we have a lot better reverse engagement. These trannies have a bad problem with a delay in reverse, so we want to correct that for sure. Now we're going to take our accumulator body off. Now this thing right here is so critical on how this tranny performs, on how you modify this thing right here. You can build the nicest tranny in the world right here, and if you don't know what you're doing here, you don't have a good tranny. I mean, this is the main part of it right here, guys. Of course, the pump too, you want to have the right pump in it, and we're going to get to that too and make sure they have a diesel pump and not a gas pump. So we're going to get to that too. But this thing here, can't tell if it's got a shift kit in it yet. I have to go a little bit deeper to see. You know, I always talk about taking accumulators and shorten the strokes on accumulators, and when you do that, you shorten the shift cycle on the clutch pack that you're shortening the stroke on. So, but here's these check balls again. You can see them a little easier here. Not one there, but you got one here and here, and then they are different sizes, so you got to be careful too. These are little bitty, and that's a big fat one. See the difference in them? So. Now these solenoid packs right here, they come in all in one unit. They're not individually like a lot of the GMs and stuff like that. So when you go to replace a solenoid, you replace this whole piece right here. We replace every one we do. Now to get a new one of these now is probably obsolete. 99% of these are going to be remanufactured. You probably won't find a new one unless you get it off eBay, and then you're like, ugh. So it's like hard to say. But also on this right here, these gaskets are really critical. The kit will come with 2 different sets, and you have to pick your own gaskets. So if you notice here, this is where you're going to be looking at when you start picking gaskets. You see 3 holes, 1, 2, 3. They're lined up right here. The other gasket will not have that hole. That's going to be in your kit. So you got to be careful and look and match your gaskets up. Match them up too, top to bottom, because this is a top, the bottom has a tail. And also this bottom gasket is thicker. And they did that for a reason, because right here they had problems with them warping, and when you tighten these bolts down, it pulls down in there. So, and they put a thicker gasket right there to stop that from happening. We have a little filter right here. Do you see this little filter here, Trent, that stands up right here?
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you left that out, it's no big deal, but it does have a reason.
Don't leave it out.
I'm off right there.
Dang, month and winter. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we got our blow-off valve or spring and check ball right here that sets in the case. Now the shift kit one will come with a different one. It'll have a little pin on it on the end of it. That way it can't bounce around. So your engine braking servo. Actually, it's pretty hard. Always get, these are so cheap, just always replace them. Now if you come here and look at here too, Trent, you've got all these check balls in these areas, in these troughs. Trough, you look here, there's no check ball in that trough. Check ball in that trough, check ball in this trough. So you got to be careful where you put your check balls at. We have a book that shows us every check ball location in every tranny made. But if you go over here and look at this plate, you're always going to have a double hole where your check ball's at. If you look here, a double hole. Double hole. See here? Single. If you go over and look at your gasket will always have the place for the tub.
Correct.
See, if you look here, there's no place for the tub.
Right, for the ball run.
Mm-hmm. See? So,
Okay.
pretty simple.
Yes, sir. Nice informative.
Then we have our center support bolts here. Now these are hollow bolts. Fluid does go through these to apply the direct clutch, the forward clutch, the overdrive clutch. Now these bolts are Loctited in. So, and these do torque to like 8 inch-pounds, hardly nothing. Because the more you torque it here, the more it pulls here, and you'll get a cross leak. And that's why they made this gasket really thick right here to press down in there to keep that from cross leaking. The first overhaul kits that we come out with, we had a big issue with that, rebuilding them because of that cross leak right there. Then the company started coming out with thicker gaskets. So feels good to be back. A little nervous. Hopefully whoever built this got this pump aligned perfectly, that way it'll come out.
Right.
And a lot of times they don't. I struggle. There we go. Okay. Of course we have our input shaft. We have our lockup O-ring here. I already tore my glove, guys, sorry. Let's see, got our pump washer. Let's get this pump apart and see if it's a diesel pump. That's what I want to see. They made so many different ones of these. A lot of people like to put gasoline pumps in a diesel. And that's why we have a bad tranny. You can build a nice tranny, but put a gas pump in a diesel and the tranny's going to go down. It just can't support the volume of fluid at lower RPMs that a gasoline or a diesel pump needs that a gasoline pump can't make. Pour all this out. Got my squeegee right there. And I'm going to like this squeegee more and more and more.
Like magic.
Yeah. Like I said, guys, I'm pretty old school. But if you look here, they made different sizes of these pump gears right here. And then they made different sizes of the feed holes here to the pump. You can drill the holes out and it don't make no difference if you got a small gear. They made these bigger, thick, I mean, they made them all different types of ways. Now this does look like a diesel pump. The pump body looks really nice still. Pump bushing looks really good, not wearing on any different sides, anything like that. Pump stator looks really nice. Now this is a PWM style. I'm gonna have to get my glasses on. I gotta look at something here. Because a lot of these people start doing some crazy stuff here. And if you look here, this is a non-PWM style pump.
Why did they put one in there?
So we're going to have to do some research here. Normally this tranny would not have this pump in here with this orifice in it. It would be an open hole. So this is not a non-PWM pump, but I believe it's in a PWM system. So we're going to have to do some searching here and find out what we got going on this here. The pump looks good. We just want to make sure we put the right unit pump in it for the right converter for lockup and stuff like that mainly. So. These gloves are so slippery. I don't know how you guys do it. Now we have our underdrive clutch here. Our engine brake clutch. Now the shift kit we got that goes in this, it'll have a big old thick snap ring in here that we have to cut to fit. It's about this wide, great big old thing, because these things are bad about breaking. So we'll change all that up. Always want to look for any type of wear on the sun gear. The overdrive sprag, they've changed this up multiple times too. This is such a weak looking piece, but looks fragile, but man, it's amazing. It'll hold a ton of pressure. A heck of a load. We have our overdrive Planetary assembly right here. Now everything in this thing should be steel. Shouldn't be no aluminum in it. Get down your overdrive Planet. It's nice, beefy, nice steel Planet. Like I say, they changed this up multiple times to different washers, different sprag, different size sprag. I mean, they changed it up a bunch to here. Like I say, on this unit here, you start going and swapping parts around. You better really be careful in what you're doing. Well guys, just a few weeks that I stayed at home, let me tell you, the walls caved in pretty fast on me. I was thinking about you guys all the time. I appreciate all the prayers. I mean, the prayers, it was hard to lay down on that table and have surgery done when you're 60 years old. But the pain's been so bad for so long that it's just something you have to do. I mean, you just have to bite it and go and do it. And it was pretty tough for me. Get this snapping off here. Yeah, I'm trying to see, because some of these snap rings are different than others. And this is a weird one. There it is. This is a little cheap one here. Yeah, a little flimsy fan. I mean, I put one in just like this, but this is a little cheap looking thing. I guess it worked. It didn't come off. Yeah. And we have your overdrive piston here. It's a bonded piston. Feels nice and soft. But we'll put all new pistons in this thing. Get this name in here. Okay. Now we had our overdrive piston that's set in here, and now we have our intermediate piston right here that applies our second gear clutch. Get this out here. This is it here. Now they do make a support just like that. It does take aluminum piston too in the earlier designs. So like I said, you start swapping parts around on this one, here's where you really got to watch yourself. Get in here. Now, like I was telling you, we were going to be going down in here looking at the third gear issues and stuff like that. So we're going to be looking at some other stuff here, like wear here. You can see where the support started moving in the case. It'll wear here too. You can see the wear here trick. Now they make a new support that you could set a snap ring down in there, and the other support's been machined. That's been taken off for the thickness of the snap ring. That way, this support sets on the snap ring instead of setting on the case and wearing the case out. Right. So you can see here's where that's already started happening. Now here we have our intermediate clutch. Man, this thing smells burnt like crazy, huh? Makes you wonder if it just didn't cook the converter from having the wrong pump in it. This is your sprag assembly here. You always want to look here for any type of chatter marks, anything like that. Looks really nice, just a little bit of staining. Let's see if I can look in here. Now this is our third gear clutch here that I was basically going for to see if I could see anything burn up in this area. This is where our problem was. But it could have been from trash coming out of the converter. I mean, it could be all kinds of things. Because this thing smells burnt like crazy. Man, this thing smells burnt. Try to get all these steels out of here. I'm going to show you the third gear clutch. The third gear clutch doesn't show to be burnt up. But let me take this drum apart really quick, and I'm going to look and see if they cut the seal when they put it together. It'll take me about a second. I'll be back over there. If I can get this out quick enough. Now the shift kit that we put in this tranny comes with a different seal for this outer piston right here. And it's real easy to cut when you put it in. Get that out of there. Piston. Always take Scotch-Brite all this around here. It doesn't look bad or anything. But this seal right here is really bad about leaking. The shift kit seal that we put in there, it's not a lip seal. And this here is physically a lip type seal. So it seals a lot better. Then you have your inner seal here. So far I haven't seen why we had a third gear shift air code. Bearing here, it's real easy one to forget, guys. That's right there. There. We have your forward clutch here. Doesn't look burned up or anything like that. Teeth don't look stripped out. Like I said, move good forward. Same way with this seal here, it's going to be a lip seal. But you always want to look in here where your O-ring runs and make sure it ain't been running up and down and rubbing in here and running a groove. Looks really good. Scotch-Brite that up. Here you got your center O-ring. Got two Teflon sealing rings right here. excuse me, Teflon, but metal. One here and one there. Now you notice this drum right here is just partially splined too. You see that it's only splined halfway through. Now you can get a full spline drum and put back in there. If it's a race car racing application, it's a must. So let me get down here to our steel forward planet. Now these run kind of metal to metal, and it don't make any metal. It's kind of weird how they work. I guess it's flooded so much oil in here it don't really touch in here. Or the gear's centered enough to keep it, but it's kind of...
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So we have our shell. Now they've changed this shell up multiple times. You can kind of see these funny designs right here. If you ever go back and look at the multiple shells, they changed this up a bunch of times. Got rid of some bearings, added some lips to hold things apart. I mean, they do some... It's crazy what they do just to redesign something to try to make it work better when it actually was working pretty dang good, I thought. But I don't know where all my little black screwdrivers went. First day, guys, back my tools. I tried to round everything up. Trent's been really busy.
Keeping it a mess. Not totally.
And see here, we have another steel planet in the back, 6 pinion.
Sweet.
Really nice. Big old thrust washer. There's going to be a snap ring right down in there. I'm going to have to... Might be able to get at that. Look at that.
Not bad, sir.
Not bad. Got these 4L80Es laying around here. Get it done. Boy, it feels good to be back. Okay. Okay. Now we have our output shaft and our parking assembly. We have a roller bearing back here in the back with the early model E40Ds had a thrust washer. So that is a little bit of an upgrade there. Go back here and get our low reverse clutch out. Okay, let's look at this low reverse clutch assembly really quick and see what it looks like. And we have our lower sprag assembly down in here. There we go. You see it here. And we have our low reverse clutch and our wave. Now you notice, guys, we didn't find anything really burn up on this tranny for that type of smell that it has. So to me, if everything that I can see, we have the wrong pump in this unit. We have the right converter, but we have the wrong pump. So we're going to get this thing all cleaned up. We're still going to put all new bushings, clutches, everything back in this thing just like we normally do. Get the right pump in here. And even this solenoid pack that I was showing you could be wrong because they make a non-PWM and a PWM. So we got to see. I think this guy got a little bit of parts messed up a little bit, kind of tongue-tied there for a little bit. But, oh, it feels good to be back. Definitely feels good to be back. It really does. So I'm excited. I don't know what to say anymore. I'm just so excited.
You did great.
We did good.
See you back.
Hey, you guys, subscribe to the channel. We've been kind of behind on getting videos, but I am back. We got a bunch of jobs in to do, and plenty more shows to come. So y'all stay tuned. Have a great day.